One of the principal ways that PV would honeypot is by going on dates with subjects. This is a tactic that James still uses today.
Our investigative journalism uses hidden cameras to expose what powerful people want kept hidden for the wrong reasons. One of the most effective ways to get access to those people, to get meetings, to get in front of them, is to swipe right on dating apps. Subjects are more relaxed, open, and forthcoming than they would ever be in a formal interview. In fact, some of our biggest, most impactful, hard-hitting video journalism has come from undercover reporters meeting with subjects this way. If we publish your story, we'll feature your journalism and we'll even pay you for it.
We're exploring, like, now, you know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is, like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves?
I knew, being a handsome young guy, I figured this angle was my best shot. I was so dedicated to exposing the corruption that I even went so far as to pierce my ears to look more effeminate. Going on queer dates with gay men was embarrassing and absolutely demoralizing. But at this point, I felt that I needed to do whatever it took to catch the bad guys, if you will. And this is how I secured my next subject. I contacted Jordan on the dating app Bumble.com and honed in on him as he was the Director of Research and Development, Strategic Operations of mRNA Scientific Planning at Pfizer. Jordan worked in New York City and had no direct connection to my former position in Andover, Massachusetts. I ended up going on 3 undercover gay dates with him, where at dinner one evening, he openly discussed that Pfizer is ultimately thinking about mutating COVID.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID?
Well, that is not what we say to the public. No, don't tell anyone this. You gotta publish, don't tell anyone. You gotta publish, don't tell anyone. We're exploring, like, now, you know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is, like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we can create untypically develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're gonna do that, though, there's a risk of, like, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating viruses. Be, like, very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something like, it goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
Is the way that the virus started in Wuhan. To be honest, like, it makes no sense if this virus popped out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, I know.
Jordan also spilled the beans that evening about how the Pfizer executives and the FDA were essentially in bed with one another. He also discussed that the Pfizer vaccine was potentially causing fertility issues in women.
Well, meantime, there are new concerns over COVID vaccines and a possible impact on reproductive health. A global study confirms a link between the vaccines and a temporary increase in menstrual cycle length, but researchers still aren't sure why. And it comes as new undercover videos making the rounds on social media from conservative watchdog group Project Veritas, claiming to show an alleged Pfizer executive admitting the company's COVID vaccine could have an effect on women's reproductive health.
so there hasn't been, like, any problems so far. But we'll see. Like, in the next couple of years, if anything comes up, I'm hoping it won't, obviously.
Hope nobody's growing 3 legs or something like that, right?
My undercover footage of Jordan Walker went viral, accumulating 50 million views on Twitter.
Pfizer now addressing concerns after damaging research claims in an undercover video. This has come after Project Veritas released 2
video making the rounds on social media, calling into question the power of big pharma.
This has been covered a lot for the past several days. There was like some Project Veritas drama.
Really amazing series of videos from Project Veritas showing a Pfizer executive admitting the company is engaged in something called directed evolution.
Pfizer released a statement that says, in part, in the ongoing development of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID vaccine, Pfizer has not conducted gain-of-function or directed evolution research.
Just this last week, we saw that YouTube and Facebook have censored Project Veritas in some of the most important investigative research that we've seen come out of a media company.
They basically scrubbed this guy from the internet as soon as Project Veritas released this video.
It was a massive story and a home run for the Project Veritas team, giving them a huge boost in their credibility.
But the fact that Pfizer disabled their comments, RC, that's a reaction. Pfizer hasn't responded officially, but they're disabling their comments. Damage control. That is a reaction. We're getting a reaction from Pfizer.
So, YouTube just took down our
Pfizer expose. It had 800,000 views. YouTube gave us a strike and will not let us post for a week.
At this point, I knew virology was a lie. I knew that there was no virus. And it became clear to me that the only reason that this footage and story was released by Project Veritas and as well promoted by the mainstream media is because this video revealed absolutely nothing. What did this expose expose? The Jordan Walker story only asserted that not only was the virus real, but as well that it could be morphed and mutated into something more deadly. All it did was add fuel to the fire to the gain-of-function narrative that was being touted at the time. Dr. Robert Malone was highlighted in the original PV release, pushing the pseudoscience that I knew was bullshit.
We talked to Dr. Robert Malone, physician, scientist, and author, to get his take on the comments made by Jordan Walker.
You're gaining function, you're creating a new function in virus 1 by adding elements from virus 2, infecting one monkey and then another monkey. That's called serial passage. That appears to have been one of the technologies deployed in the Wuhan Institute of Virology with the humanized mouse strains that I believe were obtained from EcoHealth Alliance. That's an example of directed evolution.
I remember after the release of this story, James told me that the world was my oyster and that we could make money off this content and get 100,000 subscribers. That was his concern at this point, that we could make money from this and not the fact that the drug company Pfizer was helping commit genocide on the good people of this world. As it turns out, it was all a smokescreen, and I was the smoke.
I mean, the world is your oyster. If you launched a subscription-like thing, I know that's not possible, but if you launched that tomorrow, you'd get 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, so easy.